Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How does it feel to have the first leg of your RPR mastered?
Feels awesome.
Did you guys go celebrate?
Yeah, we did. We did a little bit. Yeah.
I'm
The
so,
big celebration is going to be when I'm done with all three. But
yeah, but hey, that's still a huge accomplishment. Just getting that first one done, knowing what to expect and you know what I mean? Like you got the first leg down. So,
yeah, I feel like it's going to give me some momentum too. And um, I decided to save my literary for last. I was going to do it next, but I'm going to try and get my two voice first. So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
That is awesome. I'm so happy for you. Well, and I don't know if Pandora knows this, but Pandora, did you know that Catherine passed her RPR jury charge?
Oh, you're the Catherine that Robert was talking about.
Yes,
Good
yes.
for you. I
Thank
aspire to be you, and Nora should be here, but she thinks she's going to be a little late.
Okay, okay.
So another one I aspire to be. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy for. Well, I'm glad you celebrated because you deserve that. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, wait, real quick. So I have one more question for you, Catherine, about the test.
Yeah.
What was the subject of the jury charge? Do you remember?
It was a very standard. It didn't get into like counts of, what the charges were. It went on a long, I won't get into the specifics because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but it was just
Yeah, you want to be
it was very generic.
like basic.
Yeah, it was very generic. And I kind of couldn't believe when it was over. I was like, that's it. Okay.
Oh, that's so awesome.
But
Oh,
no,
okay.
yeah, it was just a little bit of everything, but nothing. It wasn't about like any specific crime or charge that I can remember.
Yeah, just very basic.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I just
That's awesome.
I know. I'm so happy for you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and did they let you know right away as soon as you submitted it, or like the gent, like possibly this is?
You get your estimated score right away.
Uh-huh.
Um, and from everything I know, it's really accurate within like probably 1%. And I definitely passed. So,
Good.
yeah. And you know it as soon as your fingers come off your machine.
Yes. Yeah.
I just knew.
Yep.
So,
I'm so happy for you.
How
Way to go.
euphoric.
Yes.
Euphoric. Really?
my
Yes.
my husband was holed up in another room with the door shut, and as soon as I was done with everything, I ran over there and I just like burst through the door, and I think I was crying.
I bet.
I'm like, I did
Yes.
it. I passed. And
Ah, yay.
yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh,
a
I'm
good
so.
feeling.
Oh, yes. I know. That's awesome. I know. I don't think I'll ever forget when well, and back then we got it in the mail, but opening that mail and finding out that I passed, it was like, oh, it was so, I mean, it's right up there with, I'm not saying it was better than having my kids, but I mean, the memory of it is right up there, with wedding and kids and
I don't even know what I'm gonna do when I pass the third and final leg.
so
I
on.
might pass out. I don't know.
Exactly. Oh, all right. Well, we'll get started. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you see Robert put that on Facebook? Good. I'm not on Facebook, but he sent me the little what he put on there. I said, "Yay! I'm so glad you posted it." So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. And I know what I was going to tell you guys. So I guess there's been a echo going on. So Robert just said, make sure you mute everybody so that there's no echo. So apparently the last few classes I've had an echo. So hopefully this will take care of it. So
Shut us up.
yeah, I don't know why. I mean, my little thing is here and my snow globe little mic thing, but we'll see if that works. Hopefully it does. So, all right, here we go. Okay, here we go. Common words. Ready? Boys, mine, recently, papers, committee, file, when, entirely, lines, style, tonight, consideration, catalog, wire, delivery, means, reach, unusual, excuse, beautiful, water, correspondence, expense, fun, reading, wonder, lost, started, others, among, record, appreciate, light, dress, makes, carry, action, married, decide, wait, teacher, merchandise, June, immediate, met, application, man, won't, dozen, possibly, since, holding, states, accounts, circumstances, trade. All right, so let's do some common phrases. You're going to phrase as much as possible. Here we go. Where he feels, where he felt, where he had, where he is, where he recalled, where he recalls, where he recollected, where he recollects, where he remembered, where he remembers, where he says, where he shall, where he should, where he understands, where he wanted, where he wants, where he was, where he will, where he would, where I am, where I believe, where I believed, where I can, where I cannot, where I could, where I feel, where I felt, where I had, where I have, where I have been, where I have had, where I recall, where I recalled, where I recollect, where I recollected, where I remember, where I remembered, where I shall, where I should, where I understand, where I want, where I wanted, where I was, where I will, where I would, where is, where shall, where should, where could, where the, where was. All right. Now I've got some consonant compounds. Let's see here. I flipped to the wrong page. Hold on one second. I have these little tabs that I put on these pages and sometimes they come off. All right, here we are. All right, so this is going to be initial consonants SPL. Here we go. Ready? There was a splotch on his spleen. Splice the splendid flimsy film. He splurged and bought a splashboard. He wore a splint after removing the splinters. The spline on the screen split. See a doctor if you have splenic discomfort. I have a splitting headache. Do you vote a split ticket? You can explore while you splore. The ring was splendent. They made a splashy appearance. She spluttered an excuse. He has to splurge when he has the money. The split tail made a splash. Split worms do not have split wings. A splash block is needed immediately. She splashed and splashed while swimming. He wore a splendid splint after the accident. All right. Now, I started a drill this morning on proper names, or I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday morning, but we're going to do a continuation of that. So I'm going to give you a first name and then we're going to spell it, okay? Oh, it could be a last name too. All right, here we go. Andy, A-N-D-Y. Ellen, E-L-L-E-N. Cecil, C-E-C-I-L. Lena, L-E-N-A. Mike, M-I-K-E. Janet, J-A-N-E-T. Betsy, B-E-T-S-Y. Brian, B-R-I-A-N. Clark, C-L-A-R-K. Terry, T-E-R-R-Y. Tony, T-O-N-Y. Steve, S-T-E-V-E. Mary, M-A-R-Y. Betty, B-E-T-T-Y. Dean, D-E-A-N. Peter, P-E-T-E-R. Mark, M-A-R-K. Larry, L-A-R-R-Y. Craig, C-R-A-I-G. Paula, P-A-U-L-A. Perry, P-E-R-R-Y. Greg, G-R-E-G. Alvin, A-L-V-I-N. Rudy, R-U-D-Y. Ann, A-N-N. Holly, H-O-L-L-Y. Jody, J-O-D-I. Daisy, D-A-I-S-Y. Bryce, B-R-Y-C-E. All right, and there's more there, but we're going to stop there. Another drill that I started was just basic theory, briefs, and phrases, and I only got through half of it, so we're going to go ahead and go through the rest of it. Okay, here we go. Ever, every, before, because, always, also, there, as in possessive, and there, let's go over there. Almost, already, all right, mother, father, either, neither, gather, rather, brother, toward, somebody, someone, something, anybody, anyone, anything, everybody, everyone, everything, nobody, nothing, build, built, building, certain, certainly, accept, different, difference, advantage, advance, receive, dollar, $100, $100, thousand, $1,000, million, $1 million, billion, $1 billion, north, south, office, enclose, include, familiar, opportunity, position, tomorrow, number, through, figure, dozen, follow, invoice, balance, manufacture, reply, amount, argue, second, subject, avenue, present, presence, practical, practice, understand, beautiful, proper, property, inquire, important, important, importance, record, report, investigate, investigation, merchandise, change, percent, percentage, arrange, return, regard, forward, shipment, statement, therefore, government, organize, organization, idea, circumstance, again, against, surprise, direct, direction, correct, correction, collect, collection, connect, connection, cigarette, accident, section, fiction. Then we have acts, weather, continue, request, between, machine, accomplish, afternoon, remit, material, problem, program, become, became, depth, strength, width, length, perhaps, concern, opposite, department, ordinary, superintendent, appreciate, appreciation, represent, representative, observe, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma. There's a little bit more. For some reason, it doesn't have the rest of the states. I don't know why. I was just looking at another sheet, hoping to find another sheet, but I can't, so that's okay. We'll keep going. Territory, memorandum, memoranda, influence, influential, only, response, respond, responsible, responsibility, further, anxious, behind, beyond, begin, began, begun, gun, America, American, authorize, authorization, authority, area, agent, agency, boulevard. Yeah, for some reason this sheet that I have stops at Oklahoma. So I don't know, for some reason, I don't know if something got cut off or what, but I'll have to fill that in. All right, so earlier in the earlier class, or maybe it was yesterday, we went through internet briefs. So I don't know if you know these, but I do have a drill for internet briefs along with the practice drill that goes with it. Okay, so www is WAUT, W-A-U-T, .com is D-A-U-M, DOM, .net is D-W-E-T, duet, .gov is D-W-O-F, .org is D-W-O-R-G, @ is just A-T with the flag, so it doesn't conflict with @ the, or actually @ the is T-E. Well, yeah, so I guess it doesn't conflict with just @. Then we have /, which is F-A-S-H. Okay, and then we talked about, Pandora and I talked about a new one for just dot. If dot's in the middle, you can do DOT with the flag, and then, you know, tell your software that's what you're going to do for that. And then /, if you have a /, you could do BASH with the flag. We kind of talked about that. So, all right, so let's do some different websites. Okay, here we go. Google.com, YouTube.com, Facebook.com, Yahoo.com, Amazon.com, Wikipedia.org, Google.co, Twitter.com, Live.com, Google.com, Instagram.com, LinkedIn.com, MSN.com. Let's see. reddit.com, ebay.com, pinterest.com, mail.ru, netflix.com, microsoft.com, wordpress.com, tumblr.com, paypal.com, blogspot.com, stackoverflow.com, naver.com, apple.com, chinadaily.com.cn, xvideos.com, github.com, imdb.com, jd.com, 163.com, whatsapp.com, office.com, uku.com, craigslist.org, amazon.de, soso.com, dropbox.com, outbrain.com, pixnet.net, alipay.com, microsoftonline.com, booking.com, google.com.tw. All right, I'm going to stop there. I know those are probably a little bit on the challenging side because we don't usually anxious, A-N-G-S. Yes, anxious, A-N-G-S. So we're going to start doing more of these just so we kind of get used to it because that's tricky. So if you can remember, .com is DOM, D-A-U-M, www. is Watt, W-A-U-T, .net, D-W-E-T, duet, .gov is D-W-O-F, .org, D-W-O-R-G, and then @ is flagged. And then if there's dot in the middle, just do DOT with the flag. And then, tell your software that you want a period for that dot. All right. Oh, okay. So let's do some Tangle Tamers. Here we go. Ready? Preventative programs, wrenching experience, devastating consequences, undercover detectives, narcotics investigation, ecological consequences, automatic handgun, malicious innuendo, hilly farmland, chatted confidently, widespread confusion, allegedly victimized, adjoining library, identifying influences, storm-damaged landmarks, festooned with ribbons, densely populated, crippled communications, separate proceeding, subleasing corporation, soldering and plastering, cancers diagnosed, surveillance program, motorists conveyed, aerospace engineer. All right. We're going to do some names and addresses. Here we go. Ready? Melissa W. Snyder, SNYDER, 124 Grand Street, Danville, Pennsylvania, 17821. Marilyn A. Powers, POWERS, St. Luke's Hospital, 2900 West Oklahoma Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53215. Tony L. Bundy, BUNDY, 1231 Meadowbrook Drive, Lafayette, Indiana, 47905. Amy R. Bartels, BARTELS, 1709 Russet Lane, Sycamore, Illinois, 60178. Kate B. Zettler, ZEITLER, 3852 Harbor Boulevard, Seaford, New York, 11783. Mr. Timothy G. Goodman, GOODMAN, 401 South 2nd Street, Monticello, Indiana, 47960. Cynthia S. Traeger, TRAEGER, 4115 Healthfield Road, Rockville, North Carolina, 28650. Patricia Stanley, STANLEY, Route 5, Box 702, Coburn, Virginia, 24230. Kim B. Long, LONG, 20 Georgetown Court, Augusta, Georgia, 30909. All right. How are we doing on our time? Good, we're doing okay. All right. I've got one drill left before we move on. This is going to be in the, on the, from the. All right, here we go. Leave from the station, bird in the cage, man on the street, page from the book, girl in the picture, print on the page, cop from the city, trip in the car, house on the corner, letter from the doctor, hole in the pavement, gun on the table, article from the paper, defendant in the case, house on the block, car from the garage, body in the river, rate on the loan, call from the office, walk in the park, column on the page, teller from the bank, vehicle in the photograph, mark on the wall, money from the government, shot in the dark, attorney on the case, secretary from the agency, passenger in the car, files on the desk, memo from the boss, patient in the hospital, truck on the freeway, fish from the sea, food in the restaurant, sign on the post, note from the teacher, fly in the ointment, notes on the trial, report from the committee, funds in the account, paint on the house, notice from the defense, clause in the contract, seat on the airplane. All right. We're going to go ahead and start our literary and jury charge. All right, so I have a paragraph here, and I'm going to read this. I'll read this once at 120, again at 140, and then again at 160, okay? So actually, you know what? Let's do it backwards. I'll do 160, 140, 120. I'll start high and go low, okay? All right, so let me give you a word list. You're gonna hear vertical, framework, superstructure, anchor, grillage, evacuation. You're gonna hear on the ground, which is OEG. And then phrases in the, which is, there are, which are, embedded, which the, where the. All right, so here is our first take, and this, I'll go high and work my way low, okay? We'll start at 160, and then 140, and then again at 120. Here we go. A skyscraper starts far down in the ground. The foundation for a skyscraper begins deep down in the excavation. This is where the steel work starts upon which the whole structure rests. Base plates are placed on the concrete to carry the load. To achieve an even stronger foundation for very tall buildings, a framework of cross beams and sleepers is constructed. A sleeper is a piece of steel which is placed on the ground to carry the weight of the superstructure. This framework of sleepers and cross beams is called a grillage. Whether there are grillages used or just base plates, there are anchor bolts which are embedded deep in the concrete to hold the base plates or grillages in place and to help position the bottom columns. All right, so let's do that again at 140. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. A skyscraper starts far down in the ground. The foundation for a skyscraper begins deep down in the excavation. This is where the steel work starts upon which the whole structure rests. Base plates are placed on the concrete to carry the load. To achieve an even stronger foundation for very tall buildings, a framework of cross beams and sleepers is constructed. A sleeper is a piece of steel which is placed on the ground to carry the weight of the superstructure. This framework of sleepers and cross beams is called a grillage. Whether there are grillages used or just base plates, there are anchor bolts which are embedded deep in the concrete to hold the base plates or grillages in place and help to position the bottom columns. All right, so let's do this one last time at 120. A skyscraper starts far down in the ground. The foundation for a skyscraper begins deep down in the excavation. This is where the steel work starts upon which the whole structure rests. Base plates are placed on the concrete to carry the load. To achieve an even stronger foundation for very tall buildings, a framework of cross beams and sleepers is constructed. A sleeper is a piece of steel which is placed on the ground to carry the weight of the superstructure. This framework of sleepers and cross beams is called a grillage. Whether there are grillages used or just base plates, there are anchor bolts which are embedded deep in the concrete to hold the base plates or grillages in place and help to position the bottom columns. All right. Now I'm going to read a little bit from where we left off on the OJ book, The Night in Question. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start this at 120 and I'll work my way to 160. Here we go. I was more confused than ever. What the hell had happened here? Then I remembered then I remembered that Goldman guy coming through the back gate with Judy's glasses. And I remembered hollering at him. And I remembered how our shouts had brought Nicole to the door. Nicole, Jesus. I looked down and saw her on the ground in front of me, curled up in a fetal position at the base of the stairs, not moving. Goldman was only a few feet away, slumped against the bars of the fence. He wasn't moving either. Both he and Nicole were lying in giant pools of blood. I had never seen so much blood in my life. It didn't seem real, and none of it computed. What the fuck happened here? Who had done this, and why? And where the fuck was I when this shit went down? It was like part of my life was missing, like there was some weird gap in my existence. But how could that be? I was standing right there. That was me, right? I again looked down at myself, at my blood-soaked clothes, and noticed the knife in my hand. The knife was covered in blood, as were my hand and wrist and half of my right forearm. That didn't compute either. I wondered how I had gotten blood all over my knife, and I again asked myself whose blood it might be, when suddenly it all made perfect sense. This was just a bad dream, a very bad dream. Any moment now, I would wake up at home in my own bed and start going about my day. Then I heard a sound behind me and turned, startled. Charlie was standing in the shadows a few feet away, his mouth hanging open, his breathing short and ragged. He was looking beyond me at the bodies. Charlie, I called out. He didn't answer. Charlie, still nothing. I went over and stood in front of him and asked him the same question I'd just asked myself. Charlie, what the fuck happened here? He looked up and met my eyes, but for several moments it was as if he didn't really see me. Are you listening to me? I said. I asked you what happened here. Charlie shook his head from side to side, his mouth still hanging open, his breathing still short, ragged, and in a voice that was no more than a frightened whisper, said, Jesus Christ, OJ, what have you done? Me? What the hell was he talking about? I hadn't done anything. I jumped at a sound behind me, a high-pitched, almost human wail. It was Cato, the dog, circling Nicole's body, his big paws leaving prints in the wet blood. He lifted his snout and let out another wail, and it sent chills up and down my spine. Let's get the fuck out of here, I said. I hurried toward the rear gate and moved through it, with Charlie close behind. But I stopped myself before I crossed into the alley. Charlie bumped into me and jumped back, startled. What? He said. I didn't answer. I was thinking about the shape I was in. I was thinking about all of the blood. My shirt and pants were sticking to my skin. Even my shoes were covered in blood. I turned and looked behind me, beyond Charlie, and I saw a track of bloody, telltale prints. I've got to get rid of these clothes, I said. Without even thinking about it, I kicked off my shoes and began to strip. I took off my pants and shirt, dropped the knife and shoes into the center of the pile, and wrapped the whole thing into a tight bundle. I left my socks on, though. I don't know why, but I didn't see any blood on them, so I had no reason to remove them. As I stood with the bundle grasped in my left hand, I realized that I'd left my keys and my wallet in my pants. I fell to a crouch and dug for them and noticed that my hands were shaking. Charlie stood there all the while, mumbling, Jesus Christ, OJ. He just kept repeating himself like he'd lost his goddamn mind or something. Will you shut the fuck up? I snapped. I found my keys and my wallet and rewrapped the bundle. Then I stood and hurried across the dark alley. Charlie followed, still mumbling. I got behind the wheel, and Charlie climbed into the passenger seat. Jesus Christ, OJ, he said, and kept saying that. Charlie recoiled, startled, and I yelled, shut up. I started the Bronco and pulled out, the tires squealing, and raced through the curved alley toward Montana Avenue. When I reached the end of the alley, I made a left onto Montana and an immediate right at the corner onto Gretna Green. San Vicente was a block away, and I made a left there and took it all the way to Bristol. Then I hung a right to Sunset and made a left there toward home. I glanced at Charlie. He was hunched over, his elbows on his knees, his face buried in his hands. All right, so we'll stop there. Do some jury charge. The subject here is weighing evidence. I'm going to start this at 140, and then we'll work our way to 160. And I did get to 160 with the literary. Okay, all right, I'm just stating this so I know we covered it. All right, here we go. Members of the jury, you are the sole judges of the truthfulness of the witnesses and of the weight that is to be given to their testimony. It is not your duty to accept the testimony of witnesses blindly and follow it passively, but it is your duty to consider it with care, subject it to your experience and judgment, and accept it only so far as it appeals to you as being reasonable and true. While it is your duty to accept as true the uncontradicted testimony of an unimpeached witness given with apparent fairness and candor, still, you are not obliged to accept the testimony of a witness as true merely because there is no testimony contradicting it. If it contains contradictions or improbabilities, which, standing alone or in connection with other evidence in the case, furnish reasonable grounds for believing that it is not true, you are at liberty to so regard it. If you find and believe from the evidence that any witness has willfully or knowingly testified falsely with respect to any material matter in the case, you are then at liberty to disregard the testimony of such witness with regard to other matters, excepting insofar as such witness is corroborated by other credible testimony. But you are the sole judges of the truthfulness of such a witness, as well as any other, and you may believe or disbelieve his testimony with respect to other matters accordingly as you deem it worthy or unworthy of belief. You may take into consideration the interest of the witnesses in the result of the action, their appearance upon the witness stand, their demeanor in the courtroom, their relation to the parties, if any, and all the facts and circumstances in connection with the trial, and give to the testimony of each witness just such weight and credibility as you think it deserves. You are not to count the number of witnesses and render your verdict in accordance with the majority of them, but to weigh the testimony and render your verdict in accordance with the truth. It is the law that during the first 12 hours of your deliberations, you can only render a verdict by unanimously agreeing upon the verdict. However, if you fail to agree during the first 12 hours, the law permits you after that to render a verdict that has been agreed upon by 5/6 of your number. In case you render a unanimous verdict, it should be signed by your foreman as such. But if you render a 5/6 verdict, it should be signed only by those concurring in the verdict and not by your foreman, unless he be the one concurring, in which case he will sign the name as the rest and not as foreman. You will select one of your members as foreman when you retire to the jury room, and when you have agreed upon the verdict, bring it into court if the court is in session. If the court is not in session, seal up your verdict, give it to your foreman, and bring it in when court next convenes. If you agree upon a verdict, if you agree upon a verdict when court is in session, you will not seal it up. So that last half was at 160. Okay. All right, so let's do some Q&A. Okay. Good, we're doing okay on time. All right, so we're going to start Q&A. I'll start at 120. We'll work our way to 160. Okay. All right, looks like plaintiff is questioning. Here we go. Thank you. Were you involved in the shooting investigation on September 10th of 2015 regarding Kyle Smith? Yes. Do you see Kyle Smith in court today? Yes. Could you please identify him for the record? Yes. He's an African American male seated to my left of the defense, wearing all orange. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Kyle Smith. No objection. All right, thank you. The record will so reflect. During your involvement in the investigation, did you become aware of the defendant's affiliation with the 250 Prada criminal street gang? Yes. How did you become aware of that? After an address for the suspect, or Mr. Smith, and the other suspect, Mr. Lawson, was established, myself and a few other officers executed a search warrant at Mr. Smith's residence. During that search warrant, I located several pieces of what could be considered gang paraphernalia. Initially was a red baseball cap, which is indicative of a person being a member of either a Blood or a Prada gang. The color red associates with both of those gangs. Also, during the search, I located a Metro PCS mobile phone agreement. On that agreement, the subscriber name was written as Trigger, and an email address or a contact email address was written out as trigger1@yahoo.com, I believe. The date was August 5th, 2015, indicating whoever written it or had been signed on it. I'm going to object as to foundation with regard to this contract. Now it's interpretive, sustained. What did you find? Did you find anything else besides the red baseball hat or the Metro PCS agreement? Yes, I also found a piece of mail containing the name. I might add that he had mail that had the address of 5075 Arlington Drive, number 257. Also, in the same room, I found a piece of mail which contained Mr. Smith's name and that address, indicating that all of the property there belonged to Mr. Smith, and it was lying amongst all of his other property. Was the location that you were searching the same address that was on the document that you found with Mr. Smith's other articles? Yes. Did you review anything else with regard to the defendant's affiliation with 250 Prada? Yes. Throughout Detective Hearn's investigation, he was made aware of a Facebook page which was, according to Smith's girlfriend, controlled by Mr. Smith. I was made aware of the Facebook page in which you could publicly access. Once on the page, the main picture of the person's profile was a picture of Mr. Smith. All of the writing on the page was red. The color scheme of the page was red, which is consistent with Mr. Smith being a member of either a Prada or a blood criminal street gang. Also, as part of your investigation, did you make contact with Detective Raymond Simmons from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department? Yes. Why is it that you made contact with Detective Simmons? Detective Simmons is an expert on the Prada 250 criminal street gang. Did you ask Detective Simmons about his training and experience with criminal street gangs? Yes. What did he tell you? Detective Simmons told me that he's been a sworn peace officer in the Compton area, which is the area of 250 Prada claims as their gang territory. He stated that he has been a sworn peace officer in that area for approximately 19 years and stated that he's been assigned to some type of gang task force for the past 11 years. Mr. Simmons also went on to say that throughout his career, he's been assigned to 3 federal gang task forces. He stated that he's also contacted over 100 gang members himself through investigations and arrests. He also stated that he's testified as a gang expert countless of times. He wanted to say that he keeps his gang knowledge current by attending classes on gang culture and gang awareness. He stated that he is currently a member of the California Gang Association, and he also stated that he currently teaches classes to new trainees at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Academy. Did you ask Detective Simmons about the boundaries of 250 Prada? Yes. What did he tell you? He told me that 250 Prada claims a territory within the city of Compton. It's near, I believe, the Compton Airport, and I don't recall the exact 4 streets that make up the territory, but I know that they encompass 250th Street, which is where the gang derived its name. Did you ask Detective Simmons how many members there are in this gang? Yes, Detective Simmons told me that at its peak, it had approximately 100 members and stated now that he knows of 30 active members. Okay, I'm going to switch transcripts so you guys have a little bit of a variety here. Okay. All right. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to pick up where we left off last time. This is a child, I think it's a divorce case. I'm trying to decide who gets what, how much child support, and all that. All right, here we go. Counsel, thank you, Your Honor. It's clear from the evidence here, from the testimony of Mrs. Netter and from her sister, who was involved in the transaction at or about the time that this loan was made, that in fact, the parties considered it, from Cindy's point of view, a gift, that they had purchased a home and they had jointly referred to this as a gift in purchasing that home. And I think what we see here is, of course, fairly typically, an individual who, after the parents have given the loan, they've given a gift, wants to try to make it a loan. And I don't think that has any basis here. Well, as far as priority of issues, do you want to proceed on the issue next? Because we're running out of time. What happens when we run out of time, Your Honor? You have to pick a new date. I'm in the middle of trial on another matter. For our purposes, the support issues probably should be resolved. Ms. Hendrickson, is that the next important issue? That will be fine. We'll go ahead and go for real support, Your Honor. All right, Mr. Anderson, call John Stevens. No, strike that. Let's call Cindy Netter on that issue. May I proceed, Your Honor? Yes, thank you. Mrs. Netter, I will remind you that you are still under oath. So you decided to move in together? Right. Your Honor, if we could get into the timeshare, 25 is not the same as 20%. Just a minute. This is an issue of spousal support, not child support, correct? I was showing testimony on both. Right, but pardon me. When we started this, the issue was spousal support, not child support. I assume that you folks agreed on that. I misunderstood the court. I thought we were discussing the financial issues, both the financial issues. I don't care if it's 25% or 15%. 1274 of the Rules of Court tells me what to do. I understand. Ms. Hendrickson? Yes, I assume so, Your Honor. It says 20% right here. That's right. I understand that would be, though, if that was some kind of a permanent or had something more than just a marital partnership, has at least a partnership relationship. This relationship doesn't rise to that level, Your Honor. I'm talking about the timeshare. I'm sorry, timeshare with the child. What difference does it make whether it's 25% or 15%? It only goes to the fact that she's providing a substantial amount of support to the child. And in the court's discretion, it can reduce the minimal awards for child support. This is a factor. We only offer this evidence as a factor for the court's determination as to whether or not it can exercise or reduce it below the minimum standards. We believe that it is a factor to take into consideration, including the rental value of the home, including, the third bedroom that she has to care for the child. It's now 10 o'clock. You folks pick another day. This is taking way too much time. You folks are going to expend more money in attorney's fees than what this case is really worth. Your Honor, that's already happened. I know, but it is only getting worse. At the end of this, I'm going to assess attorney fees accordingly. Court is in recess. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some read back, okay? All right. So let me give you a word list. You're going to hear subsequent, which you can write as S-W-E-N-T, swint, visual, determining, inspection, borings, adjacent, soil movement, patio slab, foundation, and a half, and you can write that as NAF, measurements, at any time, approximately, how long, difficulties. That's about it. All right, so let's do this. We'll do it one time at 120, and then we'll go to 140, and then 160, okay? All right, this is gonna be defense. Here we go. Now, at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Yes, borings were made. Did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Yes. And would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? The inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab. Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Yes. Approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Did you take any measurements on that occasion? Only to note widths of cracks in general and the location. Did you look at the adjacent property and the properties below it and above it and so forth? Yes. Did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Yes. Do you have an opinion based on your inspection? Yes. Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that again at 140. And I know this is a little bit challenging, so don't be discouraged if, you know, you're going, oh my gosh, this is hard, you know. So, all right, here we go. 140. Now, at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Yes, borings were made. Did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Yes. And would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? The inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab. Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Yes. Approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Did you take any measurements on that occasion? Only to note widths of cracks in general and the location. Did you look at the adjacent property and the properties below it and above it and so forth? Yes. Did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Yes. Do you have an opinion based on your inspection? Yes. Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Yes. All right. Last time. We'll do it at 160. And borings, just so you know, is B-O-R-I-N-G-S. Okay. All right, here we go. Now, at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Yes, borings were made. Did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Yes. And would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? The inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab. Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Yes. Approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Did you take any measurements on that occasion? Only to note widths of cracks in general and the location. Did you look at the adjacent property and the properties below it and above it and so forth? Yes. Did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Yes. Do you have an opinion based on your inspection? Yes. Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Yes. All right. Going to bring Butters out for yes. Oops. Yes, you'll have to bring, but darn it, we can't see your screen. It's green.
Okay. It'll just be a green monster again. Butters!
Why is it like that, Nora? Do you know why your screen is green?
I have no idea.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
There's like, do you guys hear that humming noise?
I hear it.
Oh, look. I could just see a silhouette, a green silhouette. What kind of dog is he, Nora?
He's a mutt. He's part terrier and part chihuahua.
Okay. I was going to say he kind of looked like a corgi from the silhouette, but because of his ears, you know? Oh, so sweet.
I think the humming sound might be my, because I have a pet fountain, and it's running in the background, so that might be it.
Okay, maybe that's, yeah, it's weird. It's like a, like a whistle kind of sound.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we can read this back.
Yeah. Go.
All right. You guys can read back any one that you want.
Okay.
We can each take a Q&A if you want.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay.
Question.
Question. Now, at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Interrog, answer, yes, borings were made.
Question, did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Answer, yes.
Awesome.
Question, and would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? Answer, the inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations.
Yep, plural.
Okay, of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab.
Awesome. You guys just want to each do Q&A and I can just listen and I'll let you know if something's different?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, and prior to this, I wrote estate, but I know that's not what you said because I didn't.
That's okay. So it's date, but it's close.
The sound went out like for a second.
Okay.
Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Answer yes.
Awesome.
Question, approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? Answer, I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Awesome.
Question, did you take any measurements on that occasion? Answer, only to note widths of cracks in general and the location.
Awesome.
Question, did you look at the adjacent property and the properties below it and above it and so forth? Answer, yes.
Perfect.
Question, did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Answer, yes.
Awesome.
Question, did you have an opinion based on your inspection? Answer, yes.
Did you say do?
Oh, I only have yes.
That's okay. Oh, for the question, do you have, do you have?
Yeah. Do
Oh,
you?
good. Perfect.
Question, did you
You have X?
what is it?
Do you have X or XA?
Did you examine?
Awesome.
Is that right?
Yep.
I
that
accidentally hit my S, so it came up as and.
Oh,
so that's good to know.
Yeah. Yep.
That's close, so close.
Oh, yeah.
Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Answer, yes.
Awesome job. Great job, you guys.
The ask and examine are probably going to be the death of me.
I know. I've had the same issues too. I used to work on that over and over. And then a lot of times I would write the brief for examine, but then I go to read it and go, what is that? You know, what did I, if I threw in, like, if I shattered another letter, then but yeah, you get to know, like, okay, that's typically what I do. So
yeah.
Well, so Nora, you got Vicky's number. So she said, feel free to, she said, you can call her or you can text her. She had a job today and she said, if you text her, then she can always text you in between. So
yeah, I actually did contact her already. She said this is her only job for this week, but she'll know by tomorrow what's going on next week. So.
Oh, good. You're going to love her. She's awesome. Her and I went to school together. We went to the state test together, and she's been reporting since '94, and she takes a lot of expert testimony. She doesn't do a lot of car accidents and workers' comp anymore because she can she's been there forever. So you ask her any question and she'll be happy to. She has done this before. Like, I've had other students in the past, like at Sage, that needed their hours and they sat out with her, and so she's awesome. You'll learn a lot from her. Don't feel bad about asking her anything.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she seems really nice.
Yeah, she's really nice. So, all right. Well, great job, you guys. And can you guys attend tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow, oh no, tomorrow I'm actually gonna go to another, or I'm gonna try to go to another one and hopefully it goes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully I see you.
I should be there in the morning
Oh, good.
as
Good.
of right now. Yeah.
Okay. And then hopefully, Nora, I get to see you tomorrow night, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good, even if you have to come in late.
Okay.
All right, you guys have a great night. And let me know, Nora, when you sit out with her.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank
Congratulations,
you.
Catherine.
Thank you.
Yay. I know. I wish I had confetti to throw in the air. Oh, awesome. Yes. All right.
Thank you.
You're
Okay.
You work
See you
hard.
tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.